Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast, the official podcast of filmpulse.net. This is episode number 129. My name is Adam Patterson. With me today we have Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing pretty good.
How's your weekend?
Yeah, it was alright.
Good.
Yeah.
I went to Paracon, which is
alright.
It's supposed to be like a sci-fi fantasy horror convention here. Okay, so first of all, this is, I think, the second year they had it, and I didn't go last year, but I was like, I'll check it out. I like conventions. They're just they're fun. So I found out that they moved it to the fairgrounds, and I was like, the fairgrounds? That's an odd place to have a convention like this. So we get there, and it's held in like an expo center.
Mm-hmm.
No air conditioning.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And it's like, I mean, there's like 1,000 or more people in this thing. No air conditioning. It was miserable. And we get there, and it's like these, I don't even want to call them C-list, Z-list celebrities. Like, there's a woman that was in like just some like random slasher movie sitting there signing autographs. Lou Ferrigno was probably the biggest one there. Oh, and C. Thomas Howell too. He was there.
There you go.
It was horrible. It was so hot. The vendors that were set up, I was like, what is the theme of this convention? Because there was like a booth that was like an insurance company, and then it was like a booth that was like the local newspaper.
Nice.
And then there's like a booth of a guy that sells rocks that you can light, that they're like oil candle rocks. It's like, what is this?
It's just a mismatch of all sorts of things, it sounds like.
There was like no horror related stuff that I could see, except for like a couple local authors that were trying to sell their book about like hauntings or whatever.
In all honesty, this sounds amazing.
Well, that's why I went, because I knew it would be kind of funny, and I like to go to these just out of the sheer oddity of it, but it was just so hot. I mean, it was like 100 degrees in there. You couldn't breathe. It was absolutely miserable. We left after like maybe 20 minutes of walking around. Don't hold conventions in fairgrounds, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
You could hold a fair in a fairground.
It usually makes sense to hold a fair at the fairgrounds,
but not a convention that takes place inside. It was just terrible. Just terrible. It was so crowded. Ugh. Anyway, this week we'll be having Film Pulse contributor Ernie Trinidad back on the show for a review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then we'll be talking about John Michael McDonagh's Calvary. I always want to say Cavalry, but it's
Cavalry?
Calvary.
Calvary.
Yeah. I always want to say Cavalry.
Well, don't do that.
I know. And finally, we're going over this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand and DVD and Blu-ray releases. First up, let's talk about some of what we've been watching. Kevin, I think it's your turn this week.
My turn. I watched a lot, actually. So
maybe just
let's fucking jump into it. All right.
Yeah, maybe just
I'm gonna
do
try
some
and
highlights.
I'm gonna try and put like some together here. There's two that I watched that are kind of the same, low to no budget indie filmmaking. Both of them have Kentucker Audley in them. One is actually directed by him, which is Open 5 from 2010. The other one is a Swanberg movie called Marriage Material from 2012. Now, both of these I was able to see on Audley's website, nobudge.com. So they're both on there. You can stream both of them for free. Now, Marriage Material from Swanberg is quite possibly, out of all the Swanbergs that I've seen so far, I think it's his best movie. I think it's his best. And this has, it's directed by Swanberg. You got Kentucker Audley in there. The cinematography is done by Adam Weingard. And the cinematography is actually very impressive for, a no-budget indie in the sense that it's just a series of long takes where, of course, all the actors just improvise their lines and the camera doesn't move at all. It just sits there static for these long discussions or just them doing, work around the house, just people coming in and out of the frame. It actually works very well. It's only 55 minutes long and it's very relatable in the sense that it's Kentucker Audley and Caroline White play a couple and they babysit the Swanberg's kid for like a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then it brings up all this like now she wants to get married, she gets baby fever and she wants to have a baby and it's just them trying to, work through this and talk about it. And it's just very natural feel to it. It works very well. I was highly impressed. So I definitely say check that one out. Open 5 is like a light recommend. This is directed by Audley and he's also in it. And it's just this kind of the same thing where it's, just completely improvised, it feels like, where there's two characters, two buddies, and fall in love with these girls. They come down to visit them in Memphis, and then they leave, and there's really no plot to it whatsoever. It's just sort of you're spending some time with these people. But sprinkled in with this storyline is sort of like a city symphony film about Memphis, Tennessee, where they go to some of, they go to like Elvis Presley week and all this and that. And it kind of works in that regard, but the main problem that I have with it is Swanberg does the cinematography and he does the Duplass brothers style where like in the middle of a conversation,
The zoom.
yeah, you're into it and everything, and then all of a sudden it's just a quick zoom out, and then he's like readjusting the focus, and you're like, well, that just took me out of everything, which might have been the point because he oddly does sort of blend reality and fiction, but I can't get past that. It drives me crazy.
Which
It
is
just
funny because I like that. I like that
to me
style.
it comes off as so amateur. It's like they're figuring out how to make a movie while they're making it. And
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
I don't
it's
like
just a
it.
stylistic choice.
But to me it doesn't add anything. That's the thing I don't like about it. It sucks me out.
I don't know. I will always like that. I don't like it when it's overused, of course, but
Yeah. Now
in like a movie like Cyrus, for
yeah,
instance,
I
I like
will
that.
I will say that they don't overuse it. I think they only do it like maybe two or three times, maybe four at the most. But it's much more jarring than what the Duplass brothers do. Theirs sort of feels like very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
They're focusing, how it jumps in and out. But here it's very jarring. But light recommend to open 5. Marriage Material is a high recommend. Plus it's only 55 minutes long. You can bang that out in no time. You can bang that out in exactly 55 minutes.
Well, I'll definitely see Marriage Material because I've seen a lot of Joe Swanberg's stuff.
This,
And
yeah,
I think it's interesting that you're complimenting Adam Weingart. Normally, you don't have nice things to say about him.
I I don't. You are you're you're very correct. I don't. But I really enjoyed his cinematography here. I think it's fantastic. It's very understated,
I'll
but it
be really
works perfect.
curious to hear what you think of The Guest when that comes out. I think that comes out soon.
I still want to check out You're Next. He did that one too,
Oh
correct?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see what you think about that one too. Let's see. I didn't have a whole lot this week. I did see The Dog, which came out
I
in.
saw this as well.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, I did. I watched this last night.
Oh, okay. So, basically, this is a documentary about the guy that is the movie Dog Day Afternoon is based on. I'm probably gonna butcher his name, John Waldowitz.
I think that's pretty
Pretty
close.
close.
Pretty close.
The interesting thing about this movie is this guy. He's
Is
such he is such a character. And if you aren't familiar with the premise of Dog Day Afternoon, basically this guy, he's married, he has 2 kids, he falls in love with a transsexual person. Is it transsexual or transgender person? I think it'd be transgender person. I think that's the the preferred term now.
I don't know anymore.
He falls in love with a transgendered person and he marries that person. Mm-hmm. And then
he's extremely ahead of his time.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing. Like, this is back in the 70s, early 70s, late 60s, right?
Yeah.
The other thing to note is that he goes off to Vietnam. He fights in Vietnam. He is extremely outspoken in the gay rights movement in New York at the time. Mm-hmm. And so he marries this woman who has not had a sex change yet, and this causes a lot of problems. She tries to kill herself, and he decides, okay, we need to do this, even though he didn't want her to do it. And he robs a bank in order to get money to do this sex change. And he kind of becomes famous because of this. He goes to jail, he comes out, and I love how he used that to further his career. You know, like after he got out of jail, he just kind of banked on the movie and everything in order to make money. I love how he signed autographs outside of the bank that he robbed after he got out of prison.
It was interesting to see that kind of became his job.
Yeah.
Where he made a career out of, he would just go to that bank and stand outside with the shirt that says, "I robbed this bank." And like that was his 9 to 5.
I also like how
he go back to the bank, dude. I'm just gonna sign autographs.
He tried to get a job at the bank too, which I think was funny.
Which does make sense. But it's kind of like a hacker getting a job at
right.
Security
yeah, exactly. Firms. But it's funny because like you think, oh, this guy is super progressive, but he's kind of like a male chauvinist. He's
an odd combination.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. And one of the things that I feel like the documentary didn't do that well was really exploring how does a person come to this? You know, like what makes this person? What were the influences that made him the way he is? Because he's such an odd duck, you know? Like
I think a lot of it had to do with Vietnam.
It could be.
I think because that's where he had his first
sexual experience. He did say that was where,
And then he said, that their base got attacked and like 90% of them died. I mean, that's going to affect you big time. And then he with the whole robbing the bank thing, like, what's your future after you get out of jail? Plus, he was terrorized in prison.
Right.
So then he comes out. I mean, your options are kind of limited in sort of, starting your life back over. So, you try and make an opportunity, take that opportunity and make the most of it. And I thoroughly enjoyed his little bit because, people were sort of getting upset with him that he was trying to make money off of this. And, we're giving all this attention to a criminal and everything. And now he said, the studio made a shit ton of money off of them, right, making a shit ton of money off of crime, yet he makes nothing.
Yeah.
When he's the one that did all the work, he's the one that risked everything. I thought that was interesting. And like watching Dog Day Afternoon, I knew that it was a true story. But you're figuring, okay, this is a Hollywood movie. They took some liberties.
Right.
They took some liberties. Most of this probably didn't happen. No, they didn't take any liberties.
They didn't take any liberties.
They were actually more restrained than what the story is. And then, and you think that it's just going to be that. But then they unearth all these other things. That it's just, I haven't been this entertained by a documentary since Tabloid. It had a tabloid feel to it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Where the main subject is kind of just it's just a fascinating character study, really.
Yeah,
I think
and then
The Imposter also has that kind of vibe.
That was a good one too. And just to find out about like his other brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then to find out the things that happened, like maybe it wasn't just because of the sex change operation that he robbed the bank.
That was an interesting angle. I liked it when they were kind of exploring that, and they were saying like, well, maybe it wasn't about this, because that kind of changes everything. Because when we believe that he robbed this bank solely to get money for that sex change because he loved this person so much, if it turns out that he really didn't he really didn't do it for that reason, and that's just what he said later. I don't know.
And I have to say, when you see old pictures of him, Pacino is the wrong choice. It definitely should have been De Niro.
Absolutely.
He looked
He looked exactly like De Niro. I said that out loud when I was watching this. I was like,
it's fucking De Niro.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was also interesting how he did, when they showed one of the older interviews with him, he said that if Ernie showed up, that he would have killed her. I thought that was crazy for him to admit that.
Yeah, because it adds a whole nother layer to this. Because you're just thinking on the surface, you're just like, oh, this is a really romantic guy. He
just has so much love to give.
Yeah, and he was pushed to the limit. And he had to get this done, and this was the only way he could do it. And then you find out some of the other things, and you're like, okay, maybe not. Okay, maybe he's mentally unstable.
Yeah, he's pretty unbalanced, this guy.
Definitely.
And I wish that the documentary explored the relationship with his father, because his father was in the picture apparently for a long time. Like, even after he...
My guess would be that they tried, but the father wanted nothing to do with this.
That's what I'm... Well,
if he's even alive.
I don't think he's alive anymore, but I'm wondering if John kind of requested them to not do anything with that. But I was curious about that, because I think that probably his relationship with his father has something to do with it.
Yeah.
I do like how his mother was still alive, and they were able to look at his relationship with her and how she was like...
His mother was a hoot. She
was just so on board with everything. I love how they showed all those pictures that she took with, like, the various men that he would bring out. And they were all shirtless. Like, it's just like, wow. What a...
Goodness.
She must be a pretty great mom, and she seemed like she was just great. They also didn't have anything in the movie about his kids.
Yeah.
There was nothing. No interviews. They barely even mentioned that his kids existed.
My guess would be that those kids were like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Leave us out of it. You want nothing to do with it. Much like his other brother. Because if you notice, when they would show old pictures, his face would always be blurred out.
So I kind of wish that they would have been able to at least talk about the kids more, because that's another side. I mean, he has 2 kids, and all he talks about is how much he loves everybody, and he has so much love and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, what about your kids, man? Like, you have 2 kids. Where are they at?
Never talks about that.
But either way, I do recommend this movie. I believe it comes out on demand this Friday.
I'll definitely recommend this movie.
I also have a review up on the site that you can read.
Ooh, I forgot that I wanted to read that. I have another one that I highly recommend, and which you did a while ago, and for some reason I slept on it until this week, and that's Resolution. Resolution. Holy shit.
Yep. Fantastic.
I'm sorry for not listening to you. I was just, I'm thinking like, oh, that's probably like, an average or slightly above average horror movie. Whatever. I'll get to it when I get to it. But damn, this movie is something else. It's barely even horror, honestly.
Yeah.
It's more of like a comedy, mystery, thriller type with like little sprinkles of horror in there, which I have to say, I completely love the way that they added the horror elements, because, with the majority of jump scares, they're telegraphed beyond belief. There's always like a musical cue. There's always this long build up, anytime, or they go the opposite route when things get very silent. And you're like, well, I know that it's going to be a loud noise at any moment. So you sort of anticipate it always. Here, they just pop up out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And it works perfectly, because it actually works as a jump scare and not as a gimmick. But the number one thing that I loved about this movie was the comedy.
Yeah, the banter between the 2 friends, and I loved their relationship. It was great.
Yeah, Vinnie Carran's his portrayal of Chris, the I'm kind of confused as what he was addicted to because there's moments where he says it's meth, and then there's other moments where he's talking about crack. So I don't know if he's addicted to both,
I think he just is a
which is a
drug addict.
which is a terrible combination.
Yeah.
But he is absolutely hilarious, and I just love that even though he's a drug addict, he's the one that seems to be level-headed about everything and just wants to stop, once the creepy stuff starts happening. He just wants to end it and get out of there. He wants nothing to do with it. Like when they find the last reel of film and he's just sort of hovering over and he's like, "How about we just not open it? Can we do that? Can we just not open it? Can we just leave?" And then even in the moments where they sort of go for this like the emotional connection, with the uh Michael's character about being a father and everything, it never felt forced and it didn't feel out of place at all. It just felt like two guys, two, longtime friends having a discussion in the midst of, people coming in and shooting another person in the face with a shotgun.
Hmm.
It's just and for me, it really reminded me of Cachet from Haneke, of like you're not exactly sure where these clips are coming from,
Right.
and it's all different kinds of clips. There's film reels, there's things popping up on his computer, just all sorts of things happening. And to me, I don't know about you, but it felt like it was either the film itself or the viewer was like pushing the story along. And I was wondering what you thought of the end.
I love the end. I don't exactly have a theory based around it, and it's been probably over a year since I've seen this, so I would have to see it again. I have been meaning to watch it again, but I think that the end was a problem for some people, but I thought that it was I
I thought it
wasn't
was
bothered by it at all. I thought that it was a good end. I was so worried the whole time that they were gonna go the conventional horror route. Like
I
I
was worried
thought,
about that too.
like I thought that any moment this is gonna take a turn and go the conventional horror route, and I so badly didn't want them to do that. And it was almost as if you could see it coming, but then they never did it, and I was like, oh, thank God.
I know,
So
and even at the end they do this, where everything sort of comes to a happy end and it's all wrapped up in a bow. And I was kind of disappointed. And then just boom,
hmm
just a little bit added at the end to just go completely fucking off the wall. And you're like,
Huh?
okay, okay. But yeah, I can't recommend this enough. I was completely blown away,
Yep, and this is directed by Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, and they have a new movie coming out called Spring.
which has Cage in it.
And I think
Cage is in it.
I
You kidding
can't
me?
I can't wait for this. They said that they told us that what did they say, that if Resolution was Mortal Kombat, then Spring was going to be Mortal Kombat X. So I'm pretty excited for that.
I like that analogy, and I definitely look forward to it. Like I thought that I would enjoy this, because usually when you pick out a horror movie for me, you have a pretty solid understanding of what I like and don't like.
Hmm.
And I thought I would just be like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. But this, I fucking loved it.
And it's different. That was the thing. I did look back, and this was my top horror movie of last year, and I liked it because it was a low budget indie and they were doing new things. And I love it
Mhm.
when these directors come in and take this genre and add something new. They bring something new to the table.
And
I
for me, it was, it's very aware of itself, much like Cabin in the Woods. But with Resolution, it wasn't so much in your face, constantly
right, right.
reminding you like, we know exactly what we're doing. We are so aware of ourselves. It's
Yeah,
meta. It's meta.
I
It's
feel like
meta.
I feel like the tone is a little bit different with those, comparing those two movies. Also, I think that it's okay for Cabin in the Woods to do that and be so self-aware. Whereas with Resolution, if they were more self-aware and more kind of purposeful in what they were doing, I think it would come off as a little heavy-handed.
That's what I was trying to get at. Is that I think they dealt with that perfectly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, it was this and The Battery were my top horrors of 2013.
Which now I got to get The Battery because you keep telling me about The Battery.
Well, see, the Resolution was my safe recommend for you.
Okay.
The Battery is a little bit more of a risky recommend because I think that is definitely not for everyone. It's got an even lower budget than Resolution, and it's I think for some people it may be just too much. The majority of the film, as you know, takes place in just a car with two people having a conversation.
See, I do like that though.
And I think for a lot of people, it may be just a little bit too much, too dry. But you may be surprised.
I have to say, I'm glad that you pointed this out, the low budget of Resolution. But damn, is it shot beautifully.
Yeah,
the cinematography in this
absolutely.
movie is fantastic for such a low budget.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, when I say low budget, I
don't
mean
know.
to say that it looks bad. It looks great.
You can't tell that this has a low budget. You can't tell at all. The cinematography I thought was quite exceptional for a low budget indie horror. Usually it's just nothing but shaky cam and it's the tried and true, tight close-ups.
Right.
But this has a little bit of everything.
I honestly believe.
I was really surprised by that, actually.
I honestly believe that a lot of it comes down to the choice of camera. Like, I think that there's so many of these super, super low budget shoestring indies that we watch that look like crap, and it's because they're not using a decent camera. And I think that adds so much to it. If you can like spring for a Red or an Alexa, it just changes everything and it makes everything look so much more professional.
Yeah, come on, just mortgage your house.
I hate movies that look like they're shot on video. I cannot stand that. It's just
those are bad. Those are bad.
Anyway, I saw Chef finally.
Did you?
Yeah, saw this last night. I liked it. I mean, there's not a whole lot I have to say about it that you didn't say when you talked about it a couple weeks ago.
No, it's just a fun little film.
It put a smile on my face, and I really like the locations where this took place. I mean, these are all places that I've been. I've been to Miami, Austin, New Orleans. I haven't been to LA, but I hope to go there sometime in the near future.
No, you don't.
But that was the one thing I liked. I mean, I was just in New Orleans like a couple weeks ago, and the fact that they went to the market and Café du Mall, I loved all that stuff. I thought that was great that they chose these kind of iconic food places from New Orleans, and they really accurately represented those places. It felt very real. And that was one of the things I liked so much about this movie is that it felt real. I mean, these are big name actors and whatnot, but the scenes where they're taking orders and it's chaos in the food truck and stuff, it felt very real, and I liked that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. And the Austin scene was really cool too. I like.
What did you think of all the Twitter birds?
Oh yeah, that was a little bit too much. That was a little bit too much. The thing that bothered me the most about that wasn't the Twitter bird specifically, but his ignorance to technology. It felt like it was just a little bit too much. It's like, okay, I get it. He's not that good with technology. We don't have to keep returning to this.
Now, see, I was completely on board with that because it's exactly the way that I am with some of these new technologies. Like, that's exactly how I was with Twitter. I still really don't know how the fuck Twitter works.
Well, it's fine. I just thought that they were revisiting that idea.
Yeah.
A little bit too much. They were returning to that too much.
I did love all the moments when his son is, like walking him through it. I enjoyed those little small moments between those two.
Yeah, because that actually turned into a big part of the movie when he started forming this bond with his son. that was kind of like the first thing that they really had a connection with, like him teaching his dad how to use this service and stuff, and I liked all that stuff. That was fine. I like the music. Good music.
Music was pretty good.
I'm trying to think of things that you didn't talk about, and I'm struggling to remember
You can't. You
everything.
can't. Dude, I cover everything. Okay.
Did you
That's why
notice?
I'm
Did you
that's why
notice
I'm a
that
superstar.
the
Come on.
soundtrack featured a lot of songs that were like the like original like 70s like soul and funk songs that would later get sampled in like Wu-Tang and stuff. Did you notice that?
I did. Who is that? I love the jazz rendition of the Wu-Tang song. I forget what that group is.
They played the original
It's,
version of Cream as well in this. The one that would be later sampled and used for. I actually have a vinyl called Shaolin Sounds, and it's all the original versions of. It's all songs that Wu-Tang sampled.
mm, nice.
Yeah, they came out with a couple volumes of that. But either way,
I
getting
don't.
back to
Oh,
Chef.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but John Leguizamo. What do you think of him?
Oh, he was great.
Wasn't
I loved his character in this.
it was I was so happy to see Leguizamo in a role where he could just be himself and not be kind of pressured to be this, caricature of himself. It was just nice to see him. It just made me very happy.
I thought
I,
everybody
I
was
missed
great.
I
I liked
missed it.
all everybody in this was great.
I missed Leguizamo, and he was great.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I thought everybody did a great job. I didn't think his son was the best actor, but
No, no.
but
You
I'm not
always
gonna.
gotta come back
I
and
kn-
just
I
crush
know
those
it's so
kids.
terrible.
You fucking love to crush those kids, man.
It's so terrible.
You should
It
start another website where it just focuses on kid performances. And
uh,
you're just a dick. Armand White of kid performances.
well, either way, I highly recommend Chef. Definitely check this one out. I think it's one of the most enjoyable movies of the year. I
Yeah.
don't. It won't. It's sad because it won't land on my top 10.
No.
It isn't going to happen. We Are the Best was probably another one of the most enjoyable movies of the year. That won't land on my top 10 either. Just
No,
but I hope
because
but I can see Chef hitting people's top 10s.
it's yeah, because they're entertaining, they're fun, they put a smile on your face, but they are kind of forgettable. I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
You're pretty much going to forget about it by year's end.
And I think that sometimes that's okay. You know,
Mhm.
like Chef is the kind of movie where if you see it on like a Sunday afternoon or something, it'll make your day. Like
Mhm.
it'll put you in a good mood because that's what it does. It's got a good message. It's maybe a little bit harsh on critics, but in the end, it kind of feels okay. It's just a great watch.
Yeah. Well, like both of those movies, Chef and We Are the Best, it's just refreshing to see them not go down like, take a dark turn or
Right.
any of that
Yeah.
stuff. They're just fun. They're just upbeat, which has kind of been missing for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Which is nice to see.
And also, I guess, goes without saying, if you see Chef, you will immediately get
Once you,
hungry,
yes,
and
you'll want to eat.
there is some amazing food scenes in this movie.
I love that there's an entire scene where it's just Leguizamo pulling out a full sheet pan of bacon,
The
and
bacon,
the
oh
camera
my,
just pulls into the bacon, and I'm just
and it's
like,
the most perfectly cooked
fuck, oh
bacon.
my God, it's beautifully cooked.
I love
Um,
the how they also showed an entire scene of him making a grilled cheese sandwich.
which is amazing and reminded me that I need a flat iron stove or a flat iron grill
Oh
in
yeah,
my kitchen. Lord have
those are
mercy.
the best. I also love the scene in Austin when they go into the back to where they have the smokers or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those
Mm,
looked so amazing.
yeah. Which is unfortunate because my barbecue place here just burnt down a couple
Okay.
weeks ago. No,
Well,
it's just because I've been wanting barbecue for a while and I don't have it because their smoker caught fire and burn down their building. So I
Ugh.
have no barbecue options.
Fortunately, I live in the South, so there's one on every
You
block where I'm at.
barbecue joints are like Starbucks in the South.
Yeah,
They're
they're
fucking
everywhere.
everywhere.
Every gas station has a smoker in the parking lot. And you could just go up and get some barbecue.
That's like our barbecue chicken church, roadside church barbecue chicken places
Yep.
around here. Put it on
Hmm.
cooking chicken on a shopping cart. What's up?
Oh God.
I have a quote unquote classic that I can't recommend. That's called Autumn Sonata from Mr. Igmar Bergman. This is the first time I've ever been disappointed by a Bergman film. So it hit a little bit harder than maybe it should have because it's the first one that I was wholly disappointed by.
Mm.
This is from 1978. It's one of his later works. Now, the acting, okay, the acting's unbelievable. It's fantastic. This is one of those small like chamber dramas where it's just really most of the film is just a long conversation between Ingrid Bergman, who plays the mother, and Liv Ullmann, who plays the daughter. Just sort of them, talking about their Liv Ullmann's childhood and how Ingrid Bergman was a terrible mother and this and that. So the acting is unbelievable, top-notch stuff. Everything else is just nothing, not noteworthy in any sense whatsoever. It bored me to tears. There was just nothing that latched onto you because you're essentially just dropped into the story where it's like, it starts off like, oh, my mother's coming to visit. And you're like, all right, what's the story going to be? And then one night they just complain to each other the entire night. Liv Ullmann blames everything on her mother, even like the most ridiculous things ever. And then her mother leaves, everything goes back to normal, movie over. And there's no context, there's no, you're not emotionally invested in any of these characters. You just don't fucking care. It's like you're just watching two strangers complain about their lives. That's how enjoyable it is.
Mm.
I mean, they do a really good job of complaining about their lives, but you just don't care. And Bergman never makes you care. He doesn't even try. And then while they're complaining about their lives, there's like a series of visual accompaniments that go with it, via flashback to like show the childhood and everything. But nothing happens in these flashbacks. They're just, they're nothing. There's nothing there at all. They just show people like sitting in a room, and that's it. And then they cut back to Liv Ullmann's tear-stained face, and she's sobbing and silently crying her ass off. And there's no investment whatsoever. I don't understand why people are so into this one. Kind of baffled. But, I mean, if you want to see some great acting, yes, check it out. Outside of that, nothing much. Even the cinematography is very boring.
Hmm.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt.
Well, yeah, this doesn't seem like it'd be one for me anyway.
No, dude, this is right up your alley. You love your Bergman. Get some.
Two women chit-chatting for 2 hours.
Oh no, they just blinked. And there's this like ham-fisted Liv Ullmann's sister has some disease. It's not really discussed what it is, but she's laid up in she's paralyzed or whatever, and she can't really talk and this and that. And Liv Ullmann blames it on her mother because her mother left one time during a vacation. So they were having a vacation. The mother left to go do like a piano recital. And she was like, that's why she got the disease. And you're just like, what? Shut up.
Hmm.
Quit bitching. My God. So I do not recommend that one.
I don't have anything else.
You don't have anything else?
Nope.
All right. Okay, yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Done.
All right, let's talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ernie Trinidad, welcome back to the show. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Adam. How are you, sir?
Well, I'll tell you, I probably would have been better had I not seen this movie. Because let me tell you this. I don't know what you thought of it yet.
Were you left shell-shocked?
Yeah, I feel a little shell-shocked.
Sorry, had to go there.
I gotta tell you, I really hated this movie. This was such a disappointment for me on so many levels, and I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So let's just say this is directed by Jonathan Liebsman. I have a synopsis here. A group of mutated warriors face off against an evil kingpin who wants to take over New York. It stars Megan Fox, Will Arnett, William Fichtner, and Whoopi Goldberg's in there for some reason as well. Also has the voice of Tony Shalhoub as Splinter, kind of an odd choice, and Johnny Knoxville as Leonardo.
Wouldn't even know it.
Which is also kind of a weird choice. Has a couple cameos in there too. Abby Elliott and Taran Killam from SNL are in there. Serve really no purpose. Much like the entire movie, at least to me, served really no purpose at all. I wrote down some things that I just absolutely could not stand in this movie, and the list just kept growing and growing and growing. Now, the first question I have for you is, were you a fan of the original movies or the cartoons or the comic books? Were you a Turtles guy?
I knew of the Turtles. I probably watched a couple of the episodes from the cartoon series, but for me, the Turtles were really the movies. And I'm not even waxing nostalgic here, but I love the original movies, with the exception of the third one. And I knew for an update, it's like you got to keep that one at the wayside. But my love for the first movie and even the sequel really, really tainted my opinion of the remake.
Well, I gotta say,
and there was just no escaping it.
I went back and I rewatched the first two not long ago, and we talked more about this on last week's Ryan Watches a Movie. We had him watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and they do not hold up. Those original ones, when you watch them now, they're terrible. And they...
I beg to differ. I still like watching the first one.
They have a special place in my heart, and I will always prefer the first one. But they're just, they're rough to get through, I think. But that being said, this one was even worse for me to get through. I found none of it to be funny. All the jokes, the stupid, this wasn't directed by Michael Bay. It felt like it was directed by Michael Bay, except for...
you definitely recognize the influence.
Except for the action scenes, which were much worse than what Michael Bay does, in my opinion. In fact, I think this probably would have been a better movie if Michael Bay directed it.
There was already enough rapid fire cutting during the action scenes already.
Yeah.
that would have made it worse.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. Either way, that didn't work. I thought that a lot of the humor was a lot more crass than I kind of expected. There's like a scene where Will Arnett's like staring at Megan Fox's ass, and they're just a lot of the jokes felt a little bit too adult for kids, even though this is a movie that's geared towards kids. And I felt that a lot of the tone of this movie didn't feel very kid friendly either. It was very dark, and they tried to make everything very realistic, although none of that really worked. I think it'd be a tough movie to take. Like, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable if I had a kid that was like maybe 7 or 8 years old. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable taking them to this movie.
If I had a 7 or 8-year-old, I'd just make them watch the original.
Yeah, that's probably what I'd do.
So,
but that stuff wasn't really what brought it down for me. What brought it down for me was just everything else. I thought that the character development was non-existent. I thought that this is a movie where we want to see the Turtles. We want to see them on screen. We want to see them in action, yes, but we also want to see them interacting with each other and riffing off of each other and giving each other a hard time and all that stuff. We got very little of that in this movie. Yep. I felt like April O'Neil took up most of the screen time, and frankly, I didn't care about her story. I wasn't interested in her. I wanted to see the Turtles, and I felt like the Turtles themselves were not very developed as characters. I feel like what they tried to do was, when they designed the characters, they were like, okay, for Donatello, he's kind of the brainy one, so we'll give him a pair of nerd glasses and some weird backpack that he never uses, and like this holographic computer on his arm, and they use these kind of visual cues to describe each of the characters and their distinct personalities, but I didn't think that any of that worked at all. Like, I just didn't, I wasn't buying any of that stuff. There was, speaking of the character design, I didn't like the look of the turtles at all. Now, I knew what they were going to look like from the trailers and stuff, so that was something that I knew that I wasn't into going into it. Michelangelo, I thought, was the best character out of all of them. I thought that he had the most personality. I liked that they brought back his skateboard and stuff and had him act like a surfer, you know, and he was the one that was joking more than the others. And to me, the way that he acted was more like the Turtles that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Although...
that's one of the main things I was missing from this one was the playful banter between the four of them that was so prevalent in the original movies. I mean, you don't even have to go very far into the original movie. Just watch the opening credit sequence from the first movie, and their cheesy banter. They're going off each other when they're trying to riff on a catch line, like and they're going awesome to her, like what? It's like excellent, okay.
Yeah.
But none of that existed in this one. They were just like. You never got the sense, for me in the remake, you never really got a sense that they were brothers or a family.
Right, exactly. So, and at the end, it's not a big spoiler or anything, Raphael gives this big monologue at the end where he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I was really hard on you guys, and I smacked you around and stuff, but it was because I envied you and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, when did that happen? Why didn't we get to see any of that? Because I know, I grew up with these characters, I know the characters very well, and I can assume that these turtles in the remake interact with each other the same way that they did in the cartoons and in the other movies, but because everything else has been changed, or at least skewed, I think that it's a normal expectation to want to know more about how these guys work as a family unit, you know?
Yeah.
And...
I mean, it's even beyond just the family unit, just even dealing with Splinter. It's just, you didn't feel like you were, like, granted the originals came out 20 plus years ago, they were still, like, trying to teach lessons there. Like, Splinter would sit Raph down and explain to him why his temper is going to get the better of him. And then, like, he get that epiphany. He's like, I totally understand. And then here it's like, we're just going to kick ass. It's like, and then you get the moment of epiphany, and you're like, literally... I guess it was Michelangelo does the gesture of mind blown.
Oh God,
like,
yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and that kind of brings it back to the origin and how they handle the origin in this movie, which I thought was so terrible. And again, I don't think that this is...
Yeah, it definitely felt heavy-handed, and the fact that they had to tie April O'Neil into that as well.
That was it was so terrible. That scene when she's like, Leonardo? Raphael? And then they cut to her like rifling through her shoe boxes and finding this stuff. It's like, are you kidding me? Is this where they're going with this? I felt like... I felt betrayed during that. And then the scene where Splinter is telling April what happened and how they were in the sewer and they grew up and all this stuff. He finds a book on ninjutsu in the sewer and teaches himself ninjutsu, then teaches the turtles. Well, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that they kind of did better than the original movie, because in the original movie he was simply a rat doing martial art in his cage. He wasn't human. He wasn't nothing. He was just a rat. And that was like one moments from the original. They were like, I wish they did that better.
I think in the cartoons it was that he was a human.
Yeah,
and he had a pet rat, and he like turned into a rat.
Yeah, he was turned into a rat, but he was still
either
human.
way.
In a rat form,
I still feel like in the cartoon and in the original movie, I feel like that they still described or came up with a better origin than in this movie. I don't understand why they have to tie it in with April and her father, and everything's all tied together, and it's just such a crazy coincidence that all these pieces come into they fit together so nicely into this nice little package, this little turtle package.
And then with the dealing with Shredder and his arc, it's just He was just a goon in a big silver samurai suit.
Yeah, like what was there? They wanted to kill everybody. Like what was the point of all that stuff? Like,
and I've read countless reviews and people comment on the fact that the ending is straight out of Spider-Man 1. Not Raimi's, but
right, amazing.
The Amazing Spider-Man. So I'm like, I can totally understand that.
I didn't.
But
I liked the look of Shredder's suit, but I didn't like the functionality of it. Like to me, if he's this martial arts master, you don't want to wear some giant metal robot suit. Give me a break. You want.
Speaking of martial arts mastery, the one thing that I really, really didn't like about the fact is these guys are ninjas.
Right.
They shouldn't be going. They should be going mano a mano, not fighting guys with machine guns. And
yep.
I guess that's because they upgraded the Foot from ninjas to mercenaries.
Well, yeah. Now that was.
And
that was another thing I was going to bring up.
And that was another thing I loved about the original. Is like they actually did because it was produced by Golden Harvest. And they did actual martial arts in this movie. The Ninja Turtles were actually going mano a mano with the Foot, doing like all kinds of martial arts moves that you would expect from a regular Bruce Lee type.
And if I remember correctly,
turtles. In
the movie and probably in the cartoons, the Foot Clan didn't have guns, did they? Did they use guns?
No. The Foot were all ninjas.
And and in this one they looked so ridiculous. They had those like masks that made their faces look like faces. Like I was like, I didn't like that at all.
They're like straight out of 300 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I didn't like that at all. They look like immortals. As far as the visuals go, I thought that it was pretty lackluster. A lot of lens flare going on in this movie. Too much lens flare. The action sequences were extremely chaotic and shaky. Pulled in very close. It was really hard to tell what the hell was going on. Now that being said, I did enjoy the snow scene, the scene that's in the trailer where they're fighting and they're sliding down a giant mountain, although it was completely ridiculous. I mean, that scene lasts like 10 minutes, and it's like, okay, first of all, how long is this mountain that they're sliding down? And secondly, do physics just not exist in this world? I mean,
and thirdly, geographically, exactly how far is it?
Right.
From mountain range from New York City, because it doesn't look like there's any snow in New York City.
Like 1 second they're in Manhattan, the next second they're in the Alps. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I will say that I enjoyed myself watching that one scene. I thought that it was fun. I liked. That was probably was the best scene in the entire movie, with the exception of the elevator scene.
The elevator scene, which is the only scene in the entire hour and 40-minute movie that captures
exactly
the original movie. Because it's like, without spoiling much of anything, although you could probably find on YouTube, the four of them are stuck in an elevator, and they made you do what you would expect the turtles to do.
I loved that scene. I thought that was, to me, that's what I wanted the whole movie to be. And they did release that clip online, so you can look that up.
And save your time.
Yeah, exactly. I thought...
Watch that again.
One of the other scenes that I thought was utterly ridiculous, and it pretty much... It sums up a lot of this movie, was that there's a scene where several of the turtles are captured, and April's trying to rescue them. And... they're stuck in these like clear boxes, and there's a touchscreen computer by it, and she doesn't know what to do, and she asks Donatello, and he says adrenaline, and there's a giant button on the screen that says adrenaline, and she just pushes that, and all of a sudden they're like amped up and they escape. To me, I was like,
that was kind of a funny scene.
Are you kidding me? I was like, God.
I don't know. It kind of reminded me of. I don't know if you remember the scene in The Iron Giant where Hogarth had coffee for the first time.
I like the effect. I like the idea of pumping the turtles full of adrenaline. It's just how that happened, I thought was ridiculous.
No, it's more referring to the after effects.
Right, exactly. I like the after effects. That was fine. That was funny. Speaking of getting back to the humor of this movie, I thought that most of it didn't work. I laughed maybe 3 times, maybe. There was A lot of jokes just did not land. I was annoyed. Michelangelo was my favorite in this movie, but that being said, it really annoyed me how he was just constantly hitting on April like that. It just got grating to me. I was like, what are you gonna do? You know, you gonna try to have sex with her?
I don't know.
And
wax on, wax off.
There's at least one pop culture joke where they said like they made a reference to the ending of Lost, and anytime they put those kind of jokes in movies, I just find it to be so brutal because it instantly dates the movie when they put that stuff in there.
Yeah, like when there's things like, "Oh, look, he's doing his Batman voice."
Yeah. That one, nah. It's just, I know a lot of people are going to hate on this movie because of Michael Bay. And I know a lot of people are going to defend this movie and say, this is just a summer movie. This is just a big blockbuster movie. You know, just get over it. Just turn your brain off and go into it. But I think that we deserve more. I honestly think that having a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, you can make a good one. And I think that you can make one that it doesn't have to be this deep movie, this deep intellectual movie that makes you think and has loaded subtext and all this stuff. Like, you don't have to do that, but just make a fun movie that's well made. And I don't think that this movie's well made. I think that it's pandering to kids to buy action figures and to sell more tickets. And I think that movies like this there's no room for them anymore.
Yeah, for me it was just half a movie. I mean, anything to deal with the Turtles, I was fine with for the most part. And anything not dealing with the Turtles, I was bored.
And
I think you literally, it's like 15 minutes before we actually see a turtle.
If not long. And the first time we see him, we barely even see him at all. Like, until we get like a full-on interaction with him, it feels like it's even longer than that.
And then you look back to the original movie. It's like 5 minutes in, you get them in full-blown turtle power, and then it was entertaining as hell. But here, I'm watching, like, how long has it been? Where's the freaking turtle?
And I would, anytime they showed them actually fighting during the action scenes, I liked all that stuff. I thought that even though I didn't like the design of the turtles, I liked all of the action choreography with them when they were doing the hand-to-hand combat stuff with various members of the Foot Clan and all that. But I felt like, other than that one really big action sequence in the middle, the snow scene, and then there's a big scene at the end when they fight Shredder on top of that building, everything else was just kind of bland. There was just really nothing to it. And
yeah, it's like you could totally jettison Will Arnett and William Fichtner.
Yeah.
It's like it served absolutely no purpose in this movie whatsoever. It's like Arnett is strictly there as the human punching bag and a sidekick. And my thing is like, take him out, put in Casey Jones. This would have been a better movie.
Yeah, I thought for sure that they would put in Casey Jones like at the end or something. I didn't stay after the credits because I was just so disgusted with it. So I don't know if there's some kind of stinger or something.
Nothing at all.
They did do a little thing towards the end to let us know that there will certainly be a sequel. And actually today they just announced that the sequel has been greenlit. So
yeah, it's coming out June of 2016, I believe.
2016. So wow.
Yeah.
So it's,
I guess they're
coming out pretty quick.
I guess their main concern would be that they're not opening up against a Marvel or DC movie that's already take claim to that date.
Anything else you wanna talk about? I hated Megan Fox's April O'Neil. I don't understand why that decision was made, and I thought she was terrible.
But she's fine for what she was given, and I'm like, all right, she's just playing April O'Neil. She's not the April O'Neil that I think of. I think back to Judith Hogue or Paige Turco from the first movies, and they were great. But Megan Fox's April O'Neil was like, okay, I guess it's better than Transformers.
Better than Transformers, yes, and I would say that she's better than in when she was in Jennifer's body for sure. So maybe it's the best role that she's done yet that I can. She was in. What was she in?
She was in the Apatow movie that came out.
Was she in that? Is that what it was?
Yeah, This Is 40. Yeah,
yeah, she was good in that.
I didn't see that one.
She was good in that.
Yeah,
but of course she was like playing the same character type that she always does. So
character.
Yeah, just I cannot recommend this movie at all. I was gonna write a review, and I was like, nope, not even gonna be worth it to me. Now I haven't seen Transformers 4, and I heard that this is better than Transformers 4, so I don't know, maybe if you like Transformers 4, maybe you'll like this one. But even on a nostalgic level, I can't recommend this at all because it's really not like the Turtles that you grew up with. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I don't need it to be the exact same, but...
Neither do I, but I would have loved it more if it had the same tone, humor, and heart that the originals had.
Exactly. And I think that that's what it is. There's just no heart of this movie. It feels very cold. It feels like just nothing more than a cash grab.
There. Just there.
I would even say go back and watch the animated TMNT movie that came out a few years back. Just check that one out because even that one's better.
The fourth movie. So technically the fourth, not a standalone. So.
Is it?
Yeah, if you watch it, there's a scene in there where they actually show relics from their past adventures and include something from all three previous movies.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
So
it's been a while since I've seen that one.
Yeah, for me, 3 was the worst one until now.
I never saw 3. I never saw the third one.
Oh, you didn't miss anything.
Yep. I don't know. We talked about this on Ryan Watches a Movie. I don't know how I missed that one, but I guess maybe by the time the third one came out, I was kind of out of that phase. Because you were probably older when the Turtles came out, right? When they started hitting big?
Yeah, I would have been in my my early 20s when the first 2 movies came out.
Yeah, see, I was like maybe like 8. So
yeah, so I guess it was right in my martial arts phase too, where I was just like, yeah, whatever, Turtles, who cares? This is great.
Oh yeah, I think everybody was in that phase. Actually, I wanted to mention that before my screening, they did a martial arts demonstration, like a local karate group did a martial arts demonstration before my screening in the movie theater, and they did a thing where they all broke boards like one by one. There's like 5 of them lined up, and none of them could break the boards.
Really?
And I'm sitting there, and I leaned over to my girlfriend, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't boding well for this movie. These people can't even break these boards." And then after the movie, we go out into the lobby, and some woman is in the lobby with a giant tortoise just crawling on the floor in the lobby, and there's a balloon, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle balloon tied around the tortoise's shell. And I was like, okay, there we go.
Right.
It was pathetic. It was terrible. Oh, God.
Yeah.
So,
but allegedly, they said they're probably going to bring in what were the 2 big creature names from the Turtles?
The movies?
Villains. I can't remember.
There was
from the cartoon.
Bebop and Rocksteady?
Yeah. Allegedly they're being saved for the sequel, so I don't want to get my hopes up for it.
Yeah, I would think that they'll bring them in. They would have to. They wouldn't just make another sequel with just Shredder, even though, well,
it'll be interesting to see what they do, because the original Terminator, I was going to say Terminator, the original Turtles was kind of like on that cusp of adult kids entertainment, but the second one on was purely for kids.
I remember the first one was probably the first movie I ever saw where they said "damn," and I thought that was so edgy, because the first one came out in what, 1990?
Yeah.
So
early 90s.
So I was 7.
So the second one was definitely more
the second one was really kid friendly. I remember that it was brighter too. Like the second one was more colorful. It had the Vanilla Ice thing. I remember there was a scene where Michael...
And they had Super Shredder, which is kind of similar to the Shredder in this one.
Yeah, it is, actually. That was the other thing. The design, how you could shoot the blades, and he had the magnets that... Are you kidding me? Oh.
Yeah, that kind of bothered me, too. I'm like, what kind of a samurai are you that you're going to be using projectile weapons instead of doing what samurai and ninja would do, fight with honor with your katana or something?
And it's like...
Or spear.
If you remember the original movies, there are so many scenes where it cuts away to Shredder, giving orders, making plans. Like, they give him a lot of screen time to develop his character, and we can figure out what's going on. In this movie, they don't even show his face. I mean, which is fine. That's okay. But you don't spend enough time with him to really even get to know, like, who is this guy? Where's he coming from? What's he doing? They give us this ridiculous bit of exposition with William Fichtner where we learn that, that's where he comes from, Japan, and blah, blah, blah. And it just does not work.
Yeah, and also in addition with Shredder, in the original movie, again, he was barking orders left and right, but you don't know how powerful he is until that final fight with the Turtles at the end. Where in here, they don't even pull back. Right off the bat, Shredder's this big dude with all these weapons and everything. He's a real badass. It's like...
Right.
Like, they don't even try to, like, okay, what is he really?
And why doesn't he just... I don't understand why he doesn't just kill them all. Like, he has the opportunity. Just kill him. Like, you made him so overpowered that he has arms made of, like, blades. Multiple blades are shooting from his arms. If you're going to make him that overpowered, and he's so evil, he's ordering people to get... People are getting killed left and right, or at least being ordered to be killed. And it's like, if he's that evil, why wouldn't he, like, cut off Splinter's head and just leave it like that?
Could have easily put a blade right between his eyes. Yeah.
What did you think of, like, the animation? What were your thoughts on the character design?
I thought you were talking about the animation that opened the film.
Actually, that reminds me. I did want to mention that because when I sat down, I really tried to have an open mind. And during the opening credits sequence, and when they were doing the voiceover that was kind of giving us the backstory on the Turtles, and they were showing like the items flying in the air and being chopped and cut, I loved that. I thought that looked great.
And then the movie started.
Yeah. There was actually one other thing that I liked, and it was like that stop motion sort of, not stop motion, time-lapse scene where when Splinter's describing their origin.
They start to grow up.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Or mutate, rather.
Right. I like that, but it's such a small thing. But
that's for the design and look of everything. It's like, for me, in my opinion, they're too big. It's again, if you look back to the originals, the Turtles are probably no more than 6 feet tall, if that.
Right, they were human size.
One, they're like 8-9 feet tall.
They're huge. they're monsters in this movie. They made their heads smaller too in this one.
Yeah, it's like a complaint I had with Rob Zombie's Halloween, where in the original Halloween, Michael Myers was maybe 6 feet, normal everyman, but in Zombie's Halloween, he's like 10 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's too big. He's automatically intimidating. He's supposed to be like a normal looking dude, and then he gets you out of nowhere. But these guys are just too big, and like, how are you supposed to hide these guys if they're so freaking large?
And again, they're supposed to be ninjas. They're supposed to be flipping on rooftops. They're silent. They're using smoke to conceal where they're at. But none of that happens in this movie. They're these giant, lumbering turtles.
Yeah, you never, ever see a moment where they capitalize on the fact they're a turtle.
Yeah.
Like, that moment that's always immortalized, I guess it was Mikey, where he's fighting somebody,
and he goes into his shell.
His head inside his turtle, and the guy misses, and he comes down and beats the guy down. He's like, I love being a turtle. You never see anything like that in the movie, except for the fact that it was saying, he's like, oh, use our shells. They're bulletproof.
Yeah, they find out that they're bulletproof. That was something that they never needed to explore in the other ones, because in the other ones, they were martial arts movies. and they didn't have guns.
You saw nicks on their shells from weapon damage.
Right.
So not bullet pot marks or anything like that. So, but I guess that's another generation of turtles. I guess it's all about the guns.
I think that's. I mean, I guess they're trying to bring it into a real world setting. Maybe it felt like they were trying to make it more grounded and realistic, but.
Yeah. But there's only so far you can do something like that.
Right, but do we need...
They're turtles.
Do we need it to be more grounded and realistic?
This is not Superman or anything like that, where you try to ground it in reality, where you might be able to put these are turtles.
Right. There's some things I think that they can do that with, like Batman, for instance. And there's some things that I don't think they should even bother, like Guardians of the Galaxy. You don't see them trying to attempt to make it grounded and real. They're like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a talking raccoon, talking tree. They're in space. There's all these different aliens. And with this movie, they should have done it similarly, where they're like, these are talking turtles. They're ninjas. They're flipping through the air. There's other mutant creatures, possibly. I mean, not in this one, but they could have put more in there. Make it fun. Make it a comic book movie. If they're trying to appeal to our generation and make it darker and grittier, because that's what they like to do, that's fine. But why don't they just draw from the original Laird and Eastman comic books?
I don't know.
I mean, it seems to me like if they could just like lift the stories directly from those comic books, and there you go. You got a dark, gritty comic book story.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm sure there'll be opportunities out there to make a better movie. I mean, who knows what to do it better the second time around? I guess it really comes down to they got to get a better writer.
Well, I think they need a better director too. Jonathan Liebsman, I don't think he's a good director, honestly. I
like Battle of LA. That's about it.
Yeah, see, I never even bothered with that one. I did see Darkness Falls. I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. I saw Wrath of the Titans, and I hated all of those. So, yeah. I think that I'm done. I'm done with the Turtles. Like, unless the sequel comes out and people are raving about it, I'll be done with it. I don't think movies like this deserve to outsell Guardians of the Galaxy, and this one is. So.
Yeah, and inexplicably, who knows? It didn't even seem like this was going to open that big. It just didn't feel like there was the energy out there for people to go flocking to see the Turtles. It's just like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, I didn't know anybody that was so excited about this. I mean, critics certainly weren't excited for it. No one I knew was like, "Oh, dude, I can't wait to see Turtles." Everybody I knew was like, "It looks terrible." Like, and
yeah,
I don't know.
Because I could probably give $10 to somebody and ask me to hum the theme to the new Turtles movie, and they wouldn't be able to tell me. But then I ask them, give them $10 to hum the theme from the original, they'll be able to give it to me note for note.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you have not seen it yet, please do not go see it. This does not need any more of your dollars. Movies like this, I think that the powers that be need to understand that movies like this should not be made. So the only way to do that is don't buy. Here's what you do: watch the original movies, and if your kids want the toys, buy them the original toys on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bother with this one. So, all right, let's go ahead and give this a rating out of 10. I will give Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles a let's go 3 out of 10.
Oh, wow. I would go 4.5 out of 10.
4.5 out of 10.
Yeah, for me, it's half a good movie. Anything dealing with the Turtles, good. Anything else not dealing with the Turtles, which is more than half of the movie, bad.
Yeah. I was also wondering how both Raphael and Michelangelo had sunglasses, and I was wondering what the point of those were. I was like, why do you guys have sunglasses? What are you wearing those in your dark sewer during the day, or are you wearing them on the city rooftops at night?
Future's so bright they got to wear shades.
There you have it. TMNT, playing in theaters now. Don't bother. Ernie, thanks so much for taking some time to talk with us.
No problem.
Let's talk about Calvary. This is written and directed by John Michael McDonagh. Stars Brendan Gleeson, Chris O'Dowd. Let's see. His son, Brendan Gleeson's son, is in this as well, briefly. The synopsis says, after he is threatened during a confession, a good-natured priest must battle the dark forces closing in around him. I cannot read today, apparently. Now, I will say a couple things. I love Brendan Gleeson.
How can you not?
I love Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
I love this movie, actually. I thought it was fantastic.
Ooh.
First of all, the cinematography is amazing, but like you said many times before, a lot of times that it just has to do with the location and where this takes place, this kind of small, close-knit village. It just looks fantastic. I mean,
yeah.
But more than that,
I have to say, I like the way that they incorporated those landscape shots in, like the way that they sort of edited them into it, like where they would be these like little respites between the different scenes, sort of just like to lull you into the next sequence.
Right. Yeah.
Enjoyed that.
I like the camera work too. I like how they a lot of times it would start off kind of pulled back, and then it would like go it'd be like above him, and then it would go like kind of down and zoom in, and lots of sweeping camera shots, and I like that. I loved the pub where a lot of this takes place. I wish I had a local pub like that to hang out in, because I'd be there all the time. I'd probably be an alcoholic.
Well, yeah.
Because I just loved the look of that pub. I wanted to visit that place. But the big thing that drew me into this movie was just the characters. I mean, there's so many in this movie, and each of them, it's like they're everyone in this town is battling with demons. And it feels like Brendan Gleeson is the one that's just trying to hold it all together, but he is failing.
Well, yeah, because they're not even coming close to like meeting him halfway.
Right.
I mean, they treat him like shit throughout.
This has to be. I mean,
I'm like, that I'm a pretty full-on atheist. But even me watching this movie, I'm like, man, cut the guy a fucking break. Come on. He's just a nice guy. He's trying to help out. But man, it's just the onslaught that he receives from this village is just
everybody in this village that he encounters is a complete asshole.
Pretty much.
In their own special way. They're just terrible people. I don't know. This must be the worst town in the entire world, because everybody is a selfish, self-centered asshole.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they were all very interesting. Like the one guy, I don't know his name. The guy that sounded like he was in a movie, like a gangster movie from like the 40s. What do you know? What do you say?
Oh my God! Owen Sharp, he plays Leo, the Leo character that you're talking about. Oh my God, that character almost single-handedly ruined this movie for me. Just as soon as he showed up, it's like, you do not belong here at all. Why are you here?
It was very weird.
It's just he stuck out like a sore thumb. It was awful. And he really didn't add anything to the movie, so I don't understand why he was there. Yeah. He was the main person I had a problem with. The only other thing that I felt seemed out of place was the Milo character, played by Killian Scott. He just seemed to be there for comedic relief, but the comedic relief was so off the wall. He's talking about chicks with dicks and stuff.
He was an odd character.
And it's just like,
I think,
what?
Well, I think a part of this, so let's back up a little bit, because the synopsis doesn't really set the stage for how this movie plays out. So basically, the film starts with him doing confession, and the person says, "I'm going to kill you in a week." And I'm going to kill you for no other reason other than you're a kind-hearted person. You're an innocent, and that's why I'm going to kill you, to set an example, because this person admits that they were repeatedly abused sexually by the church, and this is their way of getting back at those people by killing one of their own, and an innocent one also.
Yeah, correct.
So it sort of plays out like a whodunit. Because
now I have to ask, did you know at the beginning who it was?
No, I didn't know.
Unfortunately, I'm very good with voices. So as soon as the guy opened his mouth, I was like, oh, what's his name?
That was the thing, like, through process of elimination, you can figure out. Now, he does kind of mask his voice.
A little bit, but not enough.
So I had my suspicions. I didn't know what way it was going to go, but I think that's why we have all these characters, because I think part of the movie is us trying to figure out who this person is. Like, I think that was built into the movie, where we're trying to figure out which one of these horrible people is the one who made this threat. I liked Aidan Gillen's character a lot. I thought that he was just such a despicable person.
He was a prick.
But at the same time, he was just so kind of charming in a way.
His voice bothered me. I don't know if that's how he normally talks, but he sounded like an Irish Batman.
It's not how he talks in Game of Thrones.
I know he's Irish. I get that, but I hope that he doesn't talk like that. He just sounds like Batman.
I didn't have an issue with that.
I had an issue with it. It's the little things that bother me.
And the guy from Shaun of the Dead, I don't have his name up here either. The guy that played the super rich guy.
Is that Dylan Moran? Yeah, Dylan Moran. I love the fact that he had to end every sentence with, "It's very expensive."
I love the pen scene.
It's very expensive.
He was a pretty big prick as well, but I just liked the layout, how this film was structured. I like the plot. I like the idea of this priest who is clearly having a crisis of faith. He's dealing with his daughter who tried to commit suicide. He's got all this shit like just piling on, and it was so interesting to see how he was dealing with that. At one point, his church burns down. That's not a huge spoiler. That's in the trailer. And somebody kills his dog.
Yeah, what's up with that? Come on now.
So it's just all this stuff piling on. It was so interesting to see how he handled that. And I liked Brendan Gleeson's character so much. I felt like that this was cast so perfectly for him. I think this is one of the best roles I've seen him in a long time.
He does an unbelievable job of mixing, like emotional depth and just like a tenderness to his characters, but also where he's able to hit you with those witty one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
And he has that little bit of edge to him too, that works perfectly. I will sign up for anything that has Brendan Gleeson in it. Brendan Gleeson is in it. I'm going to watch it.
What did you think?
That's what I've learned over the last couple of years.
What did you think of his son's performance in this? He wasn't in it very much, but...
He wasn't in it very much, but he also happened to be in a scene what I thought was just entirely too on the nose and didn't need to be there at all, which kind of threw the film off for me a little bit. Well, I didn't think it needed to exist.
It didn't bother me because, to me, it almost felt like it was like a slice of life story where we're just following him, and this is his routine. This is his job, and these are the types of things that he does. He goes and does the prayer over people that are dying and goes to visit people in prison, and that's just what he does.
I didn't number one, I didn't find the whole cannibalism angle to be believable, first off. Second, it's too on the nose because, he's consuming flesh and there's the whole, body of Christ consuming, the body of Christ. So I thought that that was too much on the nose. And then now he's talking about, oh, you get to play God when the eyes go out. And the fact that Gleason's character is essentially God himself because he gets to decide who can repent and who can't because the guy's trying to repent, but Gleason won't let him. So he ends up taking the form of God as well. So he, you know, keeps him from being absolved of his sins. I thought it was too much.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. That didn't bother me at all. I'm trying to think of some other.
The only other thing, well, number one, go way back to the cinematography thing. I thoroughly enjoyed like the asymmetrical framing that he did throughout, and though just the lighting of certain things, how it kept switching from like muted grays to like vibrant sunlight. I thought that it's just a beautiful film to watch, and the performances are pretty damn good, except for that Leo character. And the only other thing I had a problem with was I didn't think that the dark humor mixed so well with the emotional scenes.
I knew that wasn't going to work for you.
I knew sometimes they did. Other times it just felt entirely too forced. And then they also had those emotional scenes where they would have that, overly sappy music playing, and it just everything kind of felt a little bit forced. But this movie's one that is growing on me. Like at first, as soon as I was done, I was like, I kind of enjoyed myself, but I don't think it was that great. But it has grown with me over the last couple of days. I haven't been able to get it out of my head.
I thought it was great. I definitely recommend it. I think that this might even go in my top 10.
I definitely recommend it too because it is an interesting movie, and I love these types where they work both ways, where, just face value, just take it at face value and just watch it, and it's entertaining and it's a good movie. And then second, if you do start to dig into it a little bit with the epigraph at the beginning of the film about the two thieves, and then you sort of think about Gleason's character and Dylan Moran's character and Chris O'Dowd's character and which one's the thief and who's the Christ figure, and sort of digging into all that. It's very interesting. So I love when movies work on both levels.
I also thought the end was a very powerful ending. Not what happens in the climax, but at the end. I can't say anything about it, but it involves his daughter. I thought that scene where they were just cutting back and forth and there was no like sound or anything, it was just the music. I thought that really hit me hard.
Hit you hard? Hit you hard? Heart?
Yeah, at the end of that movie hit me very hard.
Gotcha. I did not like those last tacked on after the climax. I didn't like those. I thought that kind of went without saying. I don't think you really needed to show it. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too critical. I don't know.
I thought it was great. I thought it worked. I thought that it was a nice closer.
Ooh, bring you a little closure.
Yep.
All right.
All right, Calvary. What are you gonna give it out of 10?
I think I'm at 7. I'm at 7 right now.
Okay, I'm gonna give it an 8.
Ooh.
I might even bump it up to an 8.5. I do need to see it again. This was a last minute watch for me last night, so I think I need to see it again at some point before I compile my final top 10 of the year. I'm gonna try to. Hopefully, it'll be out on like DVD or whatever by then.
I currently have a lot of movies that are sitting at that like 7 to 10 spot. I think I have like 20 movies tied.
I have a lot, so yeah.
Where they can be interchangeable between that 7 to 10 spot. It's gonna be rough.
Same here. All right, let's move on and talk about some predictions. Last week we said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You predicted 36. I predicted 38. Actual 19.
Ouch.
Oh, yikes. Step Up All In. You predicted 37. I predicted 32. Actual 43. So apparently not the worst of all the Step Up movies. We do have a review for that one up on the site. Into the Storm. You said 12. I said 42. Actual 20.
I'm still not. Is it a movie?
It's a movie,
Is
but
it?
I'm
Like, is it a
wondering.
movie?
It almost feels like it's one of those weird, like, faith-based movies, or America, like one of
Yeah,
those weird ones.
I don't. God, it's
Because
so
it got a wide
confusing.
release, so it gets a wide release. As far as I can tell, there was no marketing done on this movie whatsoever.
Yeah, this is what pisses me off. How the fuck does Into the Storm get a wide release in every single goddamn theater around me? But I can't, for the life of me, see Boyhood.
Yeah,
Why? Why does this happen all the time? Every weekend I had to go through this shit.
I have no idea. And apparently they didn't. I don't think they released. They did. I don't think they did press screenings for Into the Storm. I don't think they showed it to critics.
Surprise.
So yeah, I don't know what's up with that one, but either way, it got a 20. So doesn't look that good. Next week we have Let's Be Cops. What are you thinking on this one?
Let's not. Nailed it.
I don't think this looks funny at all.
No,
Like,
it
I have
doesn't.
no desire to see this whatsoever.
Nope. I'm gonna say 40.
I feel like if it was going to be any good, they would have released it earlier in the summer.
Mhm.
Generally, these movies that come out towards the end of the summer are not,
Yeah, they're not.
they're ones
usually
that
good.
they don't expect to do very well. I'll say 42. Who knows? Expendables 3 also comes out next week. I will say I'll say 50.
50?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna go,
probably high.
I'm gonna go. I'm actually gonna go with like 54.
The thing about these Expendables movies is they're never good, but oftentimes they get decent reviews from critics just because
What's
they do what they set out to do fairly well.
Yeah, they just their goal is to make an entertaining action film. I mean, they know that they're not making a good film.
Next week, The Giver also comes out, but I don't know. I'm assuming that's a wide release, but I don't really know. That's the one that's based off the young adult novel. I don't think we need to. We're not going to predict that. I think
It's predicted, man.
All right. What are you thinking on The
I'm
Giver?
thinking 47.
47. Meryl Streep's in that, right? Isn't
Yep.
she?
Doesn't matter.
I'll say 40 49. In limited release next week, we also have Frank,
Great.
which I still have not seen. Life After Beth, which I unfortunately can't recommend. The Trip to Italy, which I can recommend.
Oh, you have seen Life After Beth?
Yes, I saw it at Sundance.
Oh.
I didn't like it that much. Didn't like it too much. I'm a zombie movie guy too.
I know that's
It didn't do it for me. It wasn't as funny as what it tried. It tried to be a lot more funny than it really turned out, and it was just a little bit underwhelming. I mean, it's fine. It's not a bad movie per se, but it just didn't really land for me. The Trip to Italy, which is the follow-up to The Trip, it's good. It's kind of more of the same, but they do their Michael Caine impressions, so that's worth it just for that.
So they do another Michael Caine off.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing. Dinosaur 13, which is a documentary. All four of these movies were playing at Sundance actually. Frank, Life After Beth, The Trip to Italy, and Dinosaur 13. Don't know too much about Dinosaur 13. I think it's about it has something to do with the archaeologists excavating this like Tyrannosaurus Rex or something like that, and I don't know if it has to do with like there was some sort of dispute over ownership of it or where it's going.
This is the one where they found the largest, like most complete skeleton of a T-Rex,
Yeah.
and they're battling over it. Yeah. Okay. It's slightly interesting.
Yeah, it looks like it could be interesting. I heard good things. Ragnarok, Cold Water, and Septic Man.
That, yeah, that sounds like a good time.
On video on demand next week, we have The Septic Man, which I will actually be seeing because I saw the trailer for this looks kind of interesting. It looks extremely gross, but I'm interested in it.
I would imagine.
Devil's Mile, which I can't recommend. The Trip to Italy, The Dog, Ragnarok, and Jake Squared. I don't know what Jake Squared is. It sounds like a 90s
it does.
Disney Channel show.
Yes, it does. It came on right after Even Stevens.
Yeah, yeah. Next week on DVD and Blu-ray, we have Batman Assault on Arkham, which I did see that. Didn't mention that on the show, but that is quite good. One of the best DC animated movies I've seen in a while, and they're all pretty good. So this one, highly recommend. If you're into Batman and the Batman characters, there's pretty much every one of them in this because it's in Arkham, so it's got everybody, and the Suicide Squad's in it too. So that's very cool. Extremely adult. Like
really?
there's a scene where Deadshot is having sex with Harley Quinn.
Whoa!
Yeah, and she's like topless in more than one scene in this. I mean, it's like it doesn't show nipple, but it gets really close. There's scenes where people's heads are exploding. There's decapitations. I actually had to look to see what this was rated because I thought it was rated R.
It's not?
No, it's PG-13.
Get the hell out of here.
I was really surprised. I'm really good at like being able to see a movie and be like, oh, that's rated R, that's rated PG-13. I thought for sure this was going to get the R rating. It is not for kids.
Wow.
But I do recommend seeing it. It's pretty good. Filth, still haven't seen this yet. I don't think I'm going to see it. You know, it's one of these ones that just it's been so long that I doubt that I'll get around to it at this point.
Nope.
Disney's Bears, which we will have a review for that up. The Haunted House 2.
Yay.
Yeah. Lock, which I'm pretty excited to finally get to see.
Hell yeah.
Muppets Most Wanted, which that looks terrible. I
really
really enjoyed the first one, but this one just looks so. It looks like, remember when they would come out with straight to video sequels on a lot of these kids' movies? That's what it looks like.
It does look exactly like that. You are correct.
Rage with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
I'm not too sure about that one. The Railway Man. Heard not so good things about that, actually.
No, that
doesn't appeal to me. I'm not a big Firth guy.
You're not a fan of the Firth?
A lot of people just love Colin Firth, and I like him as an actor, but if I see him headlining a movie, I'm not immediately on board like some people.
He does seem to have a strong fan base.
People forget that he does shitty movies too. Like
he does a lot of shitty movies.
It's not like he's Tom Cruise, where you see a Tom Cruise movie coming out and you're like, oh, that's probably going to be pretty decent. With Colin Firth, it's like, what was it? Wasn't there one that we gave Ryan that was like, it was called, what was it called? Like State and Maine or something?
Yeah, well, he did something like, and just recently he did that. Wasn't Arthur Newman? Wasn't he in that one?
Oh, yeah.
It was like straight to VOD or DVD or whatever. Has anyone taken the opportunity to use the phrase mirth of Firth?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think you just coined that.
I would be really disappointed if no one's ever used that.
I think you need to coin that phrase.
I guess I should tweet that.
Yeah, shoot that out on Twitter. Get your name attached to that.
That's mine.
Finally, Turtle Power, which is that documentary we mentioned last week about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm interested in that. It's one of those light docs.
I enjoy some light docs.
Any Criterions next week?
Oh man, we have a big one. At least for me, anyways. I've been waiting for a DVD release of this for quite some time. I'm thoroughly excited. It's coming out on Criterion on Blu-ray. We got Love Streams, 1984, John Cassavetes with Gina Rollins. Oh, I can't wait to pick this one up. I haven't been so excited for a Criterion release in quite some time. This one I've been waiting patiently for weeks. I can't wait to dig into this one because I've seen most of Cassavetes' work, but this one has eluded me, and now it's finally out on Criterion. So I highly recommend this one. I haven't even seen it yet, but my heart's behind it.
I love
Get it?
I love blind buying Blu-rays. That's like one of
I miss that.
I love doing that on like older movies that I don't blind buy new movies because I usually see most of those, but like older movies, ones that like slip through the cracks for me, I just love blind buying them. All right, I think that will wrap it up. Were there any other Criterions?
Nope, that's the only one because you can't fuck with Cassavetes.
Yeah. All right, I think that'll do it. Send us your questions, podcast, filmpulse.net. We'll be sure to answer them on the show. Follow us on Twitter at filmpulsenet and at filmpulsekevin. And be sure to rate us on iTunes. We appreciate that very much. For filmpulse.net, my name is Adam.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie. This is written and directed by Giant.
Yes. Yes.